Hello and welcome back to Awesome Ashby, your team building titan. And today we're going to talk about an experience I had. I did say we were pivoting, right? Well, we're not totally pivoting because guess what? If you want to lose weight, you need a team. Okay, you do. And we're going to talk about that in this episode of Ashby, Awesome Ashby. Because let me just get it close to me, get close to me. Because there was a time I had a team, and we're gonna talk about it. So, in 2015, which doesn't sound like it's that long ago, but like 10 years. Wow. So come travel with me back to 2015. Which again doesn't seem like a long time ago, but it was. So in 2015, and just for like some backstory and context, because you want like a full fleshed out story, I am here in Hollywood, California, and I did originally move to LA to be in TV and film. It's a really tough town, and you also have to pay like your rent and bills and shopping stuff. So it was tough. I auditioned. I didn't audition as much as I would have liked to, but I had to pay my rent and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, so I've done a lot of jobs here in Los Angeles, and I've been in events for over 20 years, and I've been exclusively in team building for over 10 years. And I do really love it. And I'm just really passionate and dedicated and all that good stuff because it is truly something that brings me joy. So anyways, moving forward, I just touched into team building a little bit in 2015. I had met my friend Miles, who's a colleague of mine. We go way back. And I did some activities and participated on some events with him. And I got asked to audition for this show for TLC that was going to be called Weight Loss for Love. They changed the name. I'll tell you later. But I was like, let's jump at the opportunity. I'll go on the show. It'll be so amazing. And this is when like Biggest Loser was just coming to the end. And it was like such a popular show, which I just watched a documentary on, which I think motivated me to want to do this episode. And they talk about how not good it was for the contestants. And I have to attest to that and then share my experience. I was never auditioning for the Biggest Loser, but it had caught on that it was like this really viral, popular show that everybody was like, wanted to see, like Dancing with the Stars or The Bachelorette or whatever. And TLC was like, we're gonna jump on this bandwagon, I guess. So anyways, without giving away anyone's name or situations or people, because that's not what this is about. It's about sharing my experience. I auditioned. They liked my personality, which was great. I'm always trying to lose weight, it seems like. I always lose weight when I'm really happy. And I always put it back on when I'm not. It's like the simplest explanation of my existence. And because I'm just like so into my feelings, whether, positive or negative, unfortunately. And that's why it's important to do the work so that you can stay positive. Anywho, so I auditioned. They liked me. They took 20 of us to this hotel for basically the second stage or third stage, fourth stage of the auditions. And it was going to be 20 of us, and they were going to pick 10 of us to be on the show. Okay. Spoiler alert, I was not on the show, but it's a good story. The last, final audition steps. So it's 20 of us, and I was just so delulu. I was just so delulu. I was like, I'm going to get a personal trainer. I'm going to get some Whole Food gift cards. I'm, I'm gonna get like I just thought this was like that's how they do it. It's TV and film, you know. Here's a little secret. If it's non-union, no, not happening, right? And even if it's union, if you're not like Jenna Ortega or Lady Gaga, like don't expect like all the best things in life, okay? So, because you are working, you know, yes, it's TV and film, but you are working. People have a job to do, and especially in TV and film, the production costs are so high just for a day, whether it's union or non-union, just to have the cameras out there and the people holding the cameras and the directors and trainers and whatever. There are very long days because it costs a lot of money to have a set occurring in the moment, right? Okay. So, and this is just like final auditions. I don't even think they filmed anything. They couldn't. They could film it and they could watch it. And maybe they used some of it. I don't know. I didn't watch the show, but it was really just like the last, you know, test to see like who they wanted to bring on the show. And it was 10 episodes. They picked 10 of us, and each episode, it was called Weight Loss for Love because they're again reality TV. It's not real. Like there's a plan, otherwise you wouldn't watch. But anyways, I digress. You know, every episode was going to be like one person, and then they were going to show how much weight they lost, and then like they had like them set up like a love interest that they had, and then they go on a date or something, right? And so there was this really hot guy in my building. I have no idea what he's doing with his life now, but I will call him out. I called him Cabo Carter. He was so hot. I hope you're doing well out there, Cabo Carter, wherever you are. You were such a fun person to have in the building that I lived in Hollywood at that time because you were so cute and handsome. Anyways, but again, everybody here in Hollywood's trying to be on TV. Like, just cheers. Don't be honest. So I was like, okay, he's like a male model. We'll use him. We'll let him in on The Secret, and you know, it'll be a fun, good episode. Like, right? Make great TV. So it's just hard to process how delusional I was and naive because I was still very much like an adult age. Yeah, there's no Whole Food gift cards. There's no like professional fancy Equinox situation. There's no spa. They took us to like a Days Inn, or like, I can't stop laughing. They took us to like a Days Inn or like a Marriott. I don't know. Not that Marriott's not a nice hotel, depending on which one, but it was like a Residence Inn. You know what I mean? Kind of vibe, a Hamptons Inn. And it was like in Inglewood, right next to the highway. I love you, Inglewood. This is not about you, okay? You're beautiful. And you have delicious food. This is about the hotel next to the 5. Like right there, right? It's like no views of the ocean, no sparkling water. Like we all went to this hotel, the 20 of us, and then, you know, the casting people. And this is where we stayed. And we didn't even get our own room. We had to have a bunk buddy. So it was like 2 queen beds, like a regular hotel, like a regular hotel. 2 queen beds. And, you know, there was 20 of us, so that's 10 rooms, right? And then whatever rooms they needed. I mean, they were on a budget. I could tell. Okay, so I just remember, like, I appreciate how much I've grown, but like every once in a while I'll eat McDonald's, like no judgment, but I just remember I was like in my car, which the car I had at the time like really struggled. Like here in Los Angeles, there are mountains. I'm from Florida where there are no mountains. And my old Camry had a tough time getting up any hill, much less the overpass, you know, on the 405 going from the valley to the city. I'd be like, So anyways, my clunker car made it there, pulled into the parking lot. And I this is still when, I mean, I'm sure they would still do it for you now, but like back in the day, McDonald's had the 2 cheeseburger meal, which I know if you eat McDonald's, you know what I'm talking about. And so I had the 2 cheeseburger meal with me in the car and a large Coke, which to this day is still like a really intense addiction for me. Like a large Coke is like, it's just so good. When it hits the veins, you know, it's just so delicious. Is it good for me? Absolutely not. It is absolutely not good for me. It is absolutely not good for me. Anyway, so I could just remember this like moment, like shuffling McDonald's down my gullet in my car as fast as I could because I was so frightened because you don't know, they don't tell you. They're like, oh, here's the hotel. You're gonna be gone for this many days, and that's it. It's all very secretive in that way. And so I was so scared that I was gonna be like handed a bag of carrots for the next 4 or 5 days or whatever. And I was just like shoveling. It's gonna give me a heart attack just thinking about it. I was like shoveling the McDonald's into my mouth. Okay. So now I've shoved all this McDonald's in my mouth. I get out of my car, I have like my bag, and I walk in, and I was originally shocked when I pulled up at the hotel, realizing that we were right next to the I-5 and not the ocean. And I was like, okay, just make the best of this. This will be a really good experience, And I always promise myself that I never want to be an old lady and laying in bed and thinking, gosh, I wish I should have done this. I should have done this. I should have told that person this. I should and I even into this day, like anything I've ever felt for anyone ever, they know. I mean, I might not have given a soliloquy, but I expressed myself. Express yourself. Okay, so anyways, I walk in and there's a group of us. There's like 20 of us there. And, I am not a thin woman, but I'm not a super, super, super duper obese woman. And so I definitely was in like the lower weight category of the group, which I did think would work against me because, they want to see dramatic changes on these kinds of shows. But anyways, I wanted to have a good time. So we're in this conference room and it's like 20 of us and they give us this cool sheet like that basically explains some stuff, and I'll give you like the tips that they gave us in that moment. So basically from a personal trainer, that they hired, and again, I'm not giving out names, but that's where a lot of the money went, was the professionals that came in to help. If you want to lose weight, you need to drink at least half your body weight in ounces of water. So if you weigh over 200 pounds, you need to drink at least 100 ounces of water a day, most likely more, right? And the other tip was, they were like, you should always take a fish oil and a multivitamin, which I agree with. And then their like plan, because, you have like the keto and the this and the that. Theirs was carb cycling, which I do think is probably one of the healthier like diet things to try out if you're into it. And carb cycling is just like where you only maybe do heavy carbs 2 days a week, but then the rest of the days, you're eating the healthy fats instead. And so like, okay. And then they gave us each, and not just each person, each room. So only 10 bags, not 20 bags, like basically a Trader Joe's bag of food, which I'm not knocking Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's, but they were like the basics, like, here's a bag of apples. Here's a bag of oranges. Here's 3 bananas. Here's some deli turkey meat, and here's some bread. Like, it was just like the basics, right? And then like in our little hotel rooms, there was like a kitchenette of some kind, although I want to say we didn't use it very much because we were always so busy. And I'll tell you how that worked out too. So they give us this bag of food. I got my roommate. Gosh, I hate that I can't remember her name. Tatiana. She was a lovely younger woman. I was in my 30s at the time. She was in her early 20s. And we got to our room and, we made friends. And they did have like a rigorous schedule for us. So, we were up in the morning at like 7 a.m. every morning. And they were with us probably till like 9 at night. And they had us work out every single morning. And they had us work out every single night with a trainer with very difficult exercises. I definitely think that is not the smart way to go now as an full-grown adult and having purchased trainers and done a lot of education on health and weight loss and food and all that. I'm not a doctor, but to jar anyone's system like that right off the bat when they're not used to doing that kind of exercise is probably not ideal. And there was sometimes during the week where like someone would like pass out or had to be taken to the doctors, which I thought was probably not a good sign. And then we all had to take a psychology test. It was like 180 questions, make sure we're balanced. And then we also had to take a fitness test on the beach. And my psychology test ran into the fitness test. So when they brought me back, I saw them doing like mile laps on the beach running in the heat. And I was like, oh, well, I haven't eaten anything today, so I probably shouldn't do that. They didn't like that. So I'm sure that was a strike against me. But in my head, I was like, well, I really haven't eaten all day. And you just made me, do a 180 questionnaire. Like I should eat something before I do any physical activity. And I remember that moment. And I also remember we didn't have a lot of free time to get to know each other, maybe just like the last night or the night before the last day. Because, if you work out for 2 hours in the morning and then you shower and eat something, and then you do some sort of psychiatry test or doctor physical test, and then you work out again in the evening, that's your day. I mean, that is your day. There's really nothing else to be done. You're really, really tired, especially when you don't do that on a regular basis. So it was crazy because like you have no appetite because you're working out so much. You're working out 3 or 4 hours a day. And there's not a lot of like sauce or food choices. So it's like, here's a piece of turkey on a piece of bread, or here's a banana, or here's an orange. I mean, it definitely seems like it would be a way for anyone to lose weight because you're not getting enough calories every day, whether you like it or not. And so again, this was only 5 days. And so on Friday, they called us each into a room to weigh ourselves because they weighed us, Monday morning, and then they weighed us Friday afternoon to see how much weight we lost. And I was really shocked. I had lost 10 pounds. Like 10 pounds in 5 days seems drastic, right? Don't you think so? I mean, I was really happy about it, but I was also like confused, like, so all I have to do is like hide myself away and not eat and work out 3 or 4 hours a day. And then, because it's just like not something you can sustainably keep up with. Like that's not life. Like you have to have a job, you have to work. What if you have family, children, responsibilities? Like it just was very unrealistic. And so I was happy, but then when they called us in like 3 at a time to like basically sit in front of the casting people and talking to the camera, I knew that they wanted us to cry. Like that was the vibe they're going for, is TLC, weight loss for love. They wanted us to like show our emotions and get all like and cry. And there were people in the group that like this was going to change their life because of health issues. I mean, that's really what I feel like is the most important thing about weight loss, is doing it for your health and not your vanity, which if you've watched previous videos is my favorite sin. So when they called me in there, I am a large child. This is true. When they called me in there, it was like me and then the 2 other people, and they went to both of them and they straight up cried. They were like, my brother passed away because of his obesity. And you just, and you're like, you feel for these people. Like, I am so heartbroken for you that your brother passed away because of his own weight issue. You know what I mean? Or, like another one had like a colonic bag or some kind of bag attached to them because of the, weight issue. And because I also know there's a lot of medicines and medical procedures that can force you to lose or gain weight too, which is not really the same thing as casual. I like to eat all the naughty things. So when they got to me, I couldn't cry because I was like, I don't have that kind of suffering in my life. Like I am just someone who likes the good life. Like I like good food and I like comfort and I like to try the new restaurant and I like chocolate and I like deliciousness. Like I didn't have a really intense family issue. I didn't have a lot of obesity in my family. Like I'm not saying there aren't cousins or aunts or uncles, whatever, but like not in my immediate family and or my grandparents or anything. And so I couldn't cry. And like I just remember my response was really inappropriate. I apologize. There, as I smile, I apologize. I guess I don't apologize, but I do apologize because I know they were on a mission, and I guess this was their way to weed me out because they were like, Ashby, did you know that you've lost 10 pounds in the last 5 days? And I was like, "You're smoking crack. That's crazy." And like my takeaway was they probably didn't want somebody who was going to say you're smoking crack on their show. And I was just being silly. I've never smoked crack. It's just a turn of phrase because I am from Florida. And they just didn't like it. They were not happy that I said that. And so I was like, okay, this is probably not going to happen for me. Which was probably a good thing because they, I learned from the other contestants as time went on. We had a Facebook group at the time, that like they wouldn't really do much for you. They gave you a few $1,000 if you're on the show, but like you had to like, and they gave you like a gym membership, but like not to like a nice gym, just like whatever gym is in your area, maybe a Planet Fitness or something. No smack about Planet Fitness. I just don't have one in my area. And so you were just really on your own for the weight loss, which is different than The Biggest Loser because, they were really on them. They slept in the same place and it was a lot more demanding. And this was a lot more like you're on your own kind of thing, which I also think is not great because, you can't force 10 people to lose weight if you're only checking in with them like once every other week or something. But anyways, they wound up naming the show Fat Chance, which I was like appalled at the name. And then I was very happy to not be on the show because I thought, oh my goodness, what a horrible name for a TV show. And what a horrible way to make these people not feel good about themselves. Like as if they have a fat chance at love, And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I was so thankful I didn't make it on the show. And then to watch this documentary on Netflix about The Biggest Loser just really reinforced why I'm so glad I went with my gut instincts and didn't like, try to like lean into that dynamic of like feeling sorry for myself or feeling like I could never have what I want in life because of my weight, because I don't think that's true. I think it's a mindset. I think it's tough, especially for women, but for men too. We grew up in a society where our physical attributes are really valued depending on what they are. And I've been skinny and fat, so I definitely know the different experiences, just like that, it's a crazy movie, but Shallow Hal is very right on. Like I definitely was treated differently when I was thin than when I was fat. Like when I was at a healthy weight, the attention I got was, especially when I was younger, was like almost disturbing. And it also makes me like really, my heart bleed for younger women who are attractive, who maybe don't understand the responsibility or the power or whatever that comes with that. Because like world's just overwhelming as it is when you're young. You don't really know what's going on anyways. In hindsight, right? In hindsight, everything's hindsight 2020. And so, yeah, so I'm really glad that show didn't work out for me. And I'm sure if you like dig in the archives of TLC, you would find it. Fat Chance is the name of the show. And I love all those people on there. They're all wonderful, beautiful people. I had the best time with them. They had beautiful souls and good hearts. And I think they were all beautiful. I just think that sometimes media doesn't realize what it's doing. And that's why it's really important to have a strong internal self-clock, because it was sort of like I sabotaged myself on purpose because I knew this wasn't something I wanted to be a part of long term. And so, yeah, that's my experience on auditioning for reality TV weight loss show. I'd love to hear any thoughts or comments you have below. I am very happy to have like a healthy viewpoint of health now. I do want to lose weight. I do want to be healthier. And I definitely fluctuate. And that's just part of being alive. It's just like riding the wave. It's like sometimes we have a bunch of money and sometimes we don't have any money. And sometimes we have more weight and sometimes we have less weight. And, it's just really about riding that wave and making sure you make good choices for yourself and what you eat. Like I do love a large Coke from McDonald's, but I will not have a large Coke from McDonald's every day. Maybe I'll have them like once a week or once a month or once every other week because I know it's bad for me, even though it tastes so good. And that's what life's all about. So thank you for listening. And that was a really interesting time in my life that I really wanted to share with everyone. And now I have. So thank you. Like, subscribe, comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you've ever had a reality TV weight loss experience. And just remember, if you are on a journey of losing weight, it is a journey, not a destination. Even when you get to that ideal weight, it doesn't change here and what's up here, and the way you think about yourself and your self-worth and what you bring to the table is way more valuable than whatever it says in the scale. Okay. Love you lots. Talk to you later. Bye.